right. Start recording.
Recording started.
Fantastic.
Recorded live.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast. This is podcast number 467. My name is Eric Nelson, and with me today I have a very special guest, Ariel Sanchez. Ariel, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Yep. John is out at a customer site today, so he has his real day job to do. But it's great to have you here. I know we just picked you up because you were in town. So, Ariel, Ariel. If you don't know Ariel, he's a crazy social media evangelist. He is in like the top 10 VMware people to follow. There's a URL out there somewhere that takes you through who are the key stakeholders on a weekly basis, and you're always in the top 10. Wow. So it's fantastic to have you in the show. On the show today, we're going to be talking to Bill Shetti. Bill Shetti is Director of Cloud Solutions, and we're going to talk about his team, what he's been up to with regard to marketing cloud services, and then he's going to take us through some stuff about how to manage your cloud services best using VMware tools on AWS, so that should be great. But before we get to Bill, thought we would just spend a little bit of time talking about the news, and unlike December, January, where there generally is no news. This week there is tons of news because Mobile World Congress is going on, and so we have announcements and more announcements. But we'll do those first. Then we'll get to Corey, who's on the phone. Corey Romero's going to talk about the ever-shifting vExpert date that's going to go live when we do the announcements, and we'll have to do a shout-out to all the vExpert pros that are doing the voting. So let's get with the show. Should be fun. Ariel, as always, great to have you here.
Well, I'm just very happy to be here. I'm here for the CTOA conference. I'm going to be here the full week. And just being able to sit here in this room is very iconic. So thank you so much.
Oh no, it's great. It's great. It's always fun to have community members here, and you're just such an evangelist. It's just great to have you here because I just look at your tweets daily, right? So it's awesome. So let's go to Barcelona, Spain, where Mobile World Congress is happening 2019. We have a bunch of announcements. If you've been on social, AT&T selects VMware SD-WAN by VeloCloud for WAN of 5G services. So the VeloCloud stuff looks like it's doing well on SD-WAN. We announced working with AT&T. Ericsson teams with VMware on network transformation. We announced a deal with Ericsson, and VMware signed a global alliance agreement that will simplify deploying and running a combination of Ericsson applications and VMware's vCloud NFV platform for CSPs. So again, on another alliance, we did that. T-Systems selects VMware Cloud on AWS for hybrid cloud services, so a win with T-Systems. Vodafone and VMware expand deployment of Vodafone expands its footprints with VMware Cloud's infrastructure to power its network and capture operational agility and cost efficiency. So again, just big announcements, but then there were a whole list of telco announcements as well, right? Unveiling all kinds of different services from VMware Smart Assurance, which was announced this week, works on new carrier-oriented advancements in VMware NSXT for the data center, to evolution of networking in vCloud NFV. We had some serious announcements there. Expanding VMware Ready for NFV certifications. So again, just the laundry list of announcements has just been all week long. From VMware HCX and so forth. There was again the momentum around SD-WAN with VeloCloud as well as NFV is just like it just keeps going, right?
A lot of people don't know how big we are in the telco NFV space, and I would love to see more vExperts come out from that space. But yes, we are great. I think Pat was there, and I think also at the RSA conference, so we're everywhere.
Yeah, and they made more announcements on VMware Plus IoT Center. I mean, it's the day that John White, who does a lot of our announcements, is gone, of course, right? And there we could do a whole show just on, and I think last year we did a whole show just on Mobile World Congress, and we're just hitting on all cylinders there. there. We have a huge booth there. Sanjay Poonen is there. Pat is there. Everybody's, on social, shaking hands, doing that. So pretty cool. Lots of stuff going on, and yeah, hitting on all cylinders when it comes to the networking space now and the mobile space, which is great for VMware, great for all of us in the ecosystem, because it's just more business, more opportunity, and as data centers transition into the mobile space and apps out on the front lines, this is a good place to be. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, very happy about that. So that's the big announcements going on, and then we'll swing by Mr. Romero to see how the expert's doing, and have to shout out to all the pros that are doing the voting. So Corey, how's it going?
Going great, Eric. Hey, just to clarify, the date for announcement has never changed. The only thing that slipped was the date for when applications opened, because we were waiting for some things to happen.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time, dude.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was changing.
I'm just still poking fun at the fact that I delayed it 4 months last year, and so I'm just going to constantly say that and try to blame it on you, not me.
Like a boss.
Right.
So yeah, we'll
Totally.
announce next week. We'll have the full announcement next week for vExpert, and we plan on having everything wrapped up by Friday, Tuesday-ish, for final voting, and then we'll go through the rejects and defers, clean that up, and we'll have an announcement next week for the 2019 program.
Great.
So I'm looking
Great.
forward to that. I'm excited.
All right. Well, good. Thanks to, again, shout out to all the pros that have been in there voting in the app, and thanks to Martin, who's built the app and is managing that and helping us run the app, and everybody's in there. I just talked to my VP and told him of Martin and Corey's work, and we're actually going to present it at a VP staff, maybe even Robin staff, just how well that application works and how we've scaled out the program with all the vExpert pros now voting. This allows us to make the program bigger. So again, thanks to all the guys that are doing that work. I know it's a lot of work going in and reviewing apps, and thanks to everybody for doing better apps this year. I know we had example apps. We took Tony Foster's app and made it an example app. So again, thanks to everybody that's doing that. And I'm excited to see what it is. Last year, I think I cried when all the announcements went out. So yeah, this year should be also an emotional, moving moment for all of us. So happy about that.
I just checked into the vExpert Pro Slack, and Valdecir says we are down to 500 applications left, so we're already 3/4 of the way. So
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And it's kind of interesting because you do those counts, right? And you're like, it's like doing university homework where you're like, okay, I got this, I got that.
Yeah.
If I can just make it another few hours, I can get down to 400 and then 300 and then 200, and the whole team is finally down to like 50, and you're like, oh my God, we're almost done. It is a big number. I tell people that people that don't run big programs, like when you're talking 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 numbers, it is a large number. It takes a while to just chunk through anything that's in the thousands, right? Because you got to do them all. And so if you don't break it up into a large number of people, it's almost impossible to scale out. But we're there, and it's scaling, and really excited about that. Now the BUs are engaged on the sub-programs as well. I think we're adding some more sub-programs. So yeah, vExperts, it's rocking and rolling. Very happy about that. Okay, getting to the show and getting to Mr. Shetti. So before I do that announcement, I will say that we have Bill Shetti. This is the first time on the podcast that we're actually going to do slides on the Facebook live stream. So Bill has slides. We're using a combination of Wirecast we're doing TalkShoe live on audio with people dialed in. We're doing Wirecast broadcasting to Facebook. We're recording to YouTube, and we're using Zoom to grab Bill's desk and his video camera feed to feed that in, which we're capturing on Wirecast, that then gets live streamed out to Facebook. So
and I'm seeing the amount of viewers going up as we're saying this, so
yeah,
everybody knows where to find the video.
That's right. So it is on the URL facebook.com/VMTN community. So hey guys out there, we're live streaming. You're there. You should wave, say hi to the camera, and then we got Bill's slides out there. So with that, we will get to Bill. So Bill, how's it going? Welcome to the VMware Community Podcast, and we see you on camera, so that's a good thing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how long you've been at VMware, and what have you done in the IT industry before you got here?
Eric, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you giving us time. It's a great honor to get on the podcast and talk to you and everybody out there. So first of all, thank you for giving us some time.
Great to have you here.
No, thank you. Just a little bit about, I guess, myself. I've been here about 3.5 years at VMware, mostly on this project that I'll talk about today, which is the VMware Cloud Services, our set of SaaS-based services that have been rolling out over the last couple of years. I've been in the industry, it's close to 20 years now, I think. Most of the time, a lot of time spent at Cisco Systems. There as networking and the product manager for a while. Did a stint in venture. Did quite a bit of investing actually for about 3 years plus on cloud, original cloud companies many years ago, like 8 years ago, and then did a couple of startups and wound up here at VMware about 3.5 years ago. Mostly was helping Guido Appenzeller, who was one of the CTOs here. He recently left, kind of start this and move this forward. So just a little bit of history about me.
Nice. And maybe we should talk a little bit about what are the product sets that you own, and then we can talk a little bit about your team. What is cloud advocacy in general in your team, and what are you doing there? So why don't you take us a little bit about your team and what you're doing? What are you advocating?
Sure. So we should probably, I don't know if the slides, we can just switch over to the slide for like 2 seconds and I'll switch out.
Sure.
So what is VMware native public cloud advocacy? I think one of the things that we are, we want to get out there, right? And one of our main objectives is to make the ecosystem, our customers, and everybody out there that VMware is not just about vSphere and about on-prem anymore, right? We have been barreling down this path of actually supporting the native public clouds like Amazon, Azure, Google. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the purchases that we've made over the last few years. And the objective of my team is to effectively become experts on the public cloud to help customers really understand what are some of the best practices when they get into the public cloud, help them use some of our tools or other tools in the ecosystem to get a better operational sense of operational process of actually managing their day-to-day life, right, when it comes to utilizing the public cloud. And they may be hybrid, but our specific focus is on Amazon, Azure, and Google, and we also focus on applications, right, and knowing the technology behind what an application is, because the unit of measure inside the cloud is not necessarily about the resources that you're using, but about that component that goes in and gets managed. And that component is really the service or the application that's being deployed. And obviously, we're going to continuously help improve our SaaS-based products that are out there. So that's a little bit of a quick background on what my team is.
Great. So that makes sense. And you definitely have moved into the land of on social channels, running meetups, engaging with people. So how many people on your team, and then what are their roles as, I think you've relabeled them the team of evangelists and cloud service evangelists. What's the type of things that they're going to be doing out in the channels? Are they going to be doing presentations? Are they on social? Are they blogging? What's your kind of ways to go to market and help the ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you could cut back over to a share, what I'd like to just quickly put out for a couple seconds is, as evangelists, our job is to produce content that is effectively based on not just VMware components, but about components like Amazon, Azure, and all the other application bits. And we actually talk about different problem sets and issues that are going on in operational and management processes around the public cloud in relation to applications. And there are about 6 members of our team, including myself. We have a site called beyondvirtual.io where we are now starting to publish all of our blogs. And the people that are on our team, some of you guys may be familiar with them. They're the former SEs here at VMware also. It's myself. We have Dan Nilsson, who specializes in cloud native, specifically on Kubernetes and serverless. We have Sean Adell, who is heading up kind of the Cloud Health Plus and really around public cloud operations. We have Prabhu Brady, who is really focusing on also the public cloud components, but specifically around observability of applications and observability of public cloud components. And then we have Tim Davis, who is focused on CI/CD and kind of that GitOps and DevOps processes that are occurring out there on a regular basis and focusing on that. And then we have Shri, who recently joined a couple of months ago, and he is our security expert, so to speak, and been looking at and we'll be starting to post component of solutions around the public cloud and what security means in the public cloud and what to do and what not to do.
Well, I got to say that I'll let Sanjay, Ariel jump in a minute, but Dan Ellison, I work with Dan all the time. He's been on the podcast. He's like all over on Kubernetes and doing presentations, power sessions at VMworld, AWS sessions. So he's actively engaged. And Tim Davis is just like a machine. He's like Ariel, like he's just everywhere. Great. He's always liking my stuff, retweeting, engaging on all type of things. Now, granted, I help run the code program, so obviously Dan and Tim are two of the people that I would interact with all the time. So shout out to them, Bill, for having two powerhouses in the space that I operate in. So that's great. And I don't know the others, but I'm excited to get to know them.
I for one know very well Prabhu Bharati. I met him when I lived in New York, and I know Sean Odell from his days when he was in Arkin. You have an all-star cast here as your team. And I really think that your role as helping customers adapt to this new world is really important. So I'm really happy to see that you have people that we are very familiar with and that we cherish in the community.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, I mean, honestly, the team is amazing, right? Up and down the board. We've come together over a couple of years, and it's an awesome group to be with, to be honest, right? So a shout out to all of them, right, for all the work they've been putting in.
Right. And this explains now why they're everywhere, because that is now their role, and they actually have the evangelism title. And I got to give you credit for branding your team that, right? Because that's a lot of what needs to be done to get everybody on board now. So excited about that. So so now we know what your team is, who your team is, and what you're doing. Maybe we can talk a little bit about kind of the big brand services that you guys are supporting, right? Maybe you can just tick us through some of the bigger ones that everybody should be aware of when you're talking about cloud services and what you guys are focused on. Obviously, we've talked about Kubernetes and PKS and what we're doing with PKS. We obviously have VMC and AWS. I don't know if you guys have if each one of those have those roles. But what are the big ones that you guys are spending most of your time talking about and bringing people along on that journey? Maybe we can touch base on the products that we have out there.
No, I'd love to. So the way we think about the products is really in sort of two buckets right now. The main bucket being really around cloud management and what that constitutes. And there's about 4 products there that we're regularly engaged with, and a couple other minor, engaged from a minor perspective, right? So the ones that we're regularly hitting these days and really kind of working on getting out there is, obviously the recent purchase that we just made in Cloud Health, right? And Cloud Health is just an amazing platform with respect to being able to manage resources and costs on the public cloud. And I'm going to give a little bit of history here, and then I'll go into the other services. But we purchased them last year, and just a little bit on Cloud Health. I mean, they own, or they have a few thousand customers that are running on Amazon, and billions of dollars of Amazon spend is being managed through Cloud Health. So it's just an amazing story. It's an amazing team that we've actually purchased and brought in, and it actually gives us one of the strongest footholds that we can have on the public cloud. So we're spending a lot of time in Cloud Health, and on a couple of different levels, really. We are helping work with it to kind of evangelize it, but also looking at it to see how we can help extend Cloud Health to become more of our SaaS-based management platform, so to speak, right? And that sort of dovetails into a couple of other services that we're also working with and sort of pushing out under the management sort of umbrella here for SaaS, SaaS-based management on public cloud. And the next one is VMware Secure State. And that one is not quite fully launched, but it is in alpha or beta right now, sorry. And we're taking on customers, and the equivalent of that out in the market would be, let's say, a competitor to Redlock. It's better. I'm not saying that because I'm just VMware, but after playing with it and after the redo that they've done over the last year, it is actually a pretty interesting product. And Secure State is also another acquisition that we had. It's formerly known as Cloud Choreo. So we're spending a little bit of time on that, trying to get that out the door. Working with our customers to understand some of the issues and working on security best practices around the public cloud. In conjunction with that, we also have, part of, let's say, like day two sort of operations, we have another product that we also purchased a company. It's called Wavefront. We are spending a good amount of time on Wavefront on two levels. One, obviously, in just managing resources around Amazon, Azure, or Google. But also, we spend quite a bit of time, my team spends time in showcasing Wavefront with respect to how do you manage an application? How do I understand how MySQL is running inside that application, or Kafka, or how do I connect it to a CI/CD pipeline, and how do I monitor and manage that? So those are kind of like day two-based operational products that we have that we're spending quite a bit of time on. In addition to that, we do spend a little bit of time, and we are actually working with customers that are trying to understand how to do day zero-based operations. We use a lot of Terraform on our own clouds. We run about 200 instances across Amazon and Azure right now with multiple applications that we've hand-built, and we have GitHub pages you can get access to. We use Terraform, Ansible, and all that stuff. In addition, we also use, obviously, our own tooling, which we've created to, give a consistent view from a day zero perspective between, the hybrid world on vSphere and on Amazon, and that's CAS, right? And that's composed of three separate services, right? Code assembly, code stream, and then we've got service broker. So we spend a bit of time on those and working with customers that are interested in using those, especially around public cloud. And so that's kind of the first set of services that we are focused on.
All right, I gotta stop you for a second. We have code assembly, code stream on the task base, and the third one was, I missed it because I missed the third one.
Service broker.
Service broker.
Service broker.
Right. It's funny because we just don't hear much about the day zero stack to get the apps out there, right? And even though I spent 3 or 4 years ago spent a good deal of time in CodeStream and what it was and how to work on it, we have so many other products that get between VMC and AWS and Wavefront and now Cloud Health. It's like you forget there is that day zero, how to build it and get it out there. You have Kubernetes and PKS that's also part of that framework. So it's like, oh yeah, CodeStream, Service Guy, getting that out there. Completely forgot about that stuff.
In VMware, we are serial innovators, so this is why the evangelism is so important, to explain and to educate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, sorry to cut you off. I just want to catch the third one, service broker, so we can when I ask you some questions, I got that down. So thanks for that. So Cloud Health, Wavefront. You spent a little time in Terraform. I missed another one that you had said Cloud Health 1 and then Wavefront. I didn't catch the other one. Then day zero, you got code assembly, code stream, service broker, and what else you want to tell us about from the product perspective?
So I guess, no worries. Feel free to stop anytime. It's Cloud Health. We have VMware Secure State.
Secure State, that was the one, right?
And then
right.
Secure State, yeah, that's a security product. And then Wavefront. Now, this sort of day 2 and day 0 based operations around cloud is where we're spending a lot of bit of time. We also spend, as you've seen Dan come and talk about it, we spend quite a bit of time around cloud PKS, specifically because it's a SaaS-based service. As you notice the theme, we are solely focused around SaaS-based services. We're helping out in cloud PKS, and a lot of our blogs are around containers and using Kubernetes and managing applications. And we also play with EKS, GKE, and a couple of others to understand what the variances are. So we're focused on that, and we're also supporting a new service that's coming out that has sort of been announced. It's called NSX Service Mesh, right? And that's basically Istio as a service, and that is something that we're also helping support. So that's the kind of the compendium of services that we're mostly focused on these days in evangelizing outside.
Nice.
I am looking at the blog posts that you guys have put out, and they are really, really interesting. Very interested in all of the things that you're putting out.
Right. And just to reiterate, that blog is www.beyondvirtual.io. Right, so me and Bill have talked about getting stuff out quickly to the market. Right, the best way to do it is a blog, and if you want total freedom, go on your own domain so that you can just get things done as soon as possible. Build your own plugins, get your stuff out there, and so kudos to you guys for operating a blog and getting those articles out because they are good. And if you're wondering why they're not on VMware.com, it's because you get a blog out there and you get it out fast, and so we support that. So, all right.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of spiel on this. I think we wanted to, and I think you and I have talked about it, Eric, and we wanted to kind of rebrand a little bit. One of the purposes of doing that is so that people can find us outside of sort of the bistro realm, and that's why it's called Beyond Virtual, because we are going beyond the virtual realm. So,
In fact, me and you have talked about even the idea of VMware code gets a little like, even as much as I love VMware code and I wear VMware code apparel half the time, my wife reminds me of that. The idea of VMware in front of code is kind of like, well, but if you look at Cloud Health and you look at other things they're going after, they're not just VMware solid. They're you can manage other things besides VMware.
Well, but we also have the advantage that we are any cloud, right? We have always been about giving the customers the option.
Right.
So even though a lot of people, especially the older VI admins, will think VMware is not really doing a lot of stuff, I know that we have developers, we have a lot of people coming out of Stanford and CMU that are just doing amazing things that people will see in coming products. So we may turn that perception around. Yeah, and
in a real sense, even though our headphones are doing that, we're still there. Everybody's still live. Wavefront is one of these products where it has its own brand, it stands on its own brand, and it doesn't need VMware in front of it. In fact, automotive industry uses it. We've got a lot of users in like I think Lyft uses it, and some of the other ride-sharing apps use it, and so. What I would say is that, that VMware brand is nice. We like VMware, but in the real sense, there are people that aren't even in data center services that are actually dealing with that, right? So, it's interesting. So, Bill, you have we're just cruising through the time here, so I want to get to some of the bullet points that we do have. So, one of them is. Some articles that are on the blog. There's a couple that need to be, that we should shout out, right? Proactive RDS-CS-BS. So you can go to beyondvirtual.io and look. There's a proactive RDS article out there, which really kind of talks about how to use Cloud Health to do your resource management on different cloud providers. I think AWS is one of the ones that you talked about because RDS is the database service from AWS. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? We can drill down into, Cloud Health. How is Cloud Health managing RDS environments, and what are kind of the challenges when you go out to cloud and you have these services out there running? What are those challenges? And talk a little bit about that article.
No, thanks. Yeah, I mean, when we write this, just a little bit of background. When we write some of these articles, we try to do a little bit of a twist on what the general functions are. And specifically, Cloud Health is also known, in the industry, it kind of gets known for just being a cost and resource sort of management product. And what we wanted to do with some of these articles was to show how it really applies to the day-to-day operations of actually managing applications, right? And how you can use it in sort of managing that policy, right? If we take developers as we have today, they're going to go into Amazon and they're going to load up and run pretty much anything they want at some levels. And if you think about how you manage Amazon, there's really two parts of it, right? One is you can be preventative. You could actually go in and actually lock down that user's ability to turn on certain AMIs, utilize certain regions, utilize only certain types of services, etc. And that'll get you so far. And as the developers go in, you know that they generally try to do weird things, and they will turn on port 22, and they will leave a lot of things on so they can code and develop, and then also potentially even just run up the cost and the spend. And so the second part of this is not just preventative, but also then proactive or /reactive sort of management. You have to watch for delta changes in the configuration drifts that are occurring, understand where there may be out of, so to speak, a policy that you've come up with, and then sort of go after that and try to tamp that down, right? And so what the specific article talks about is one of the more used services out there, which is RDS. But the fact is that it can get very expensive in using RDS. And generally what you want to do with developers is you want to effectively limit their use, especially in a dev test environment. Production, a whole other story. So the article really goes around what do you do in a dev test sort of environment where you have developers bringing up applications, tearing them down on a regular basis. And, general policy should be that you're going to understand where your cost overruns are or usage overruns will be, and you'll set up some sort of a policy. And what Cloud Health allows you to do is to effectively monitor that utilization and the cost, and then act on it, depending on, I don't want to say a violation, but a change in that affects that policy, right? So, in the article, we kind of talk about the fact that, hey, do I have any specific RDS instances in my environment or the environment that I run that'll spend greater than $200 on a monthly basis. And we know that then there's something crazy going on with that application. And what Cloud Health will do is actually pull all of your resources because it has a full inventory of what's happening, right, beyond just cost. It understands, takes that policy and applies it to your accounts, and then gives me an entire list. And what I did is I specifically narrowed that list down to, let's say, a specific region and said, okay, this is my dev test environment. And once it lists that out, I can have that sort of condition and policy run like every 6 hours, every 10 minutes, every day. And what I did is I said, okay, let's run this on my own team, right, on a daily basis. And then I created a proactive action on this, which was, if I see something greater than 200, I want you to go and shut that down because I don't want them overrunning their costs or their usage, right? I can change that to usage. And what we did is we created a Lambda function that gets kicked off. But the interesting thing here is that I'm not going to shut that down because what Cloud Health allows you to do is to have an approver policy on it. It says, before you shut it down, make sure you send Bill an email, and Bill has to approve the shutdown before Cloud Health take action on this.
I like it. These three, that scenario that you just showcased, plus the 3 articles that focus on security, operational costs, and identifying inefficiencies, they really are what a lot of people that are just getting into the market are going to find out real quick that they need to be able to monitor this.
Yeah, and they find it very hard. I think one of the things about cloud operations, and I'll talk a little bit about this, is that it's a little different from Ariel, from how a lot of us have kind of been brought up, right, on installing servers, installing VMs, et cetera, et cetera. because the majority of the time that you're going to spend in the cloud now is not about managing those resources, but it's really about managing policy, right? And if you look at the tools that we are sort of coming out with in VMware, right, we're really going down that path. As the role of an IT admin now, his functions and day-to-day really changes around basically, Dan's coined this term in our team, which is around, gates and managing those gates effectively, right? And ensuring that people don't, put the guardrails on and they don't go out of that guardrail. And you're constantly looping through sort of this closed loop process of, okay, got a deployment that goes on, I'll set a certain policy, may go out of whack, I get information, I go retool my policy, and I just continuously change. And that's effectively what's happening with a lot of customers that are managing their operations in public clouds. This is really about a policy is a loaded term here, right? But there's lots of layers of policy that effectively gets managed now from a cloud operations perspective. This is just one aspect of it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think it also just, as we drift into AWS, and you do just have just like VM expansion, right? Like where you would see this, everybody got excited about it. All of a sudden, you can spin up VMs when we introduce vSphere in the day, and you have VM expansion, and pretty soon you have like 1,000 VMs running. AWS is kind of in that same space, and we all get a little frightened of this, right? Because it is a bill, and it's a hard bill, and then how as a manager do you affect that? How do you control? And even as an IT guy, you don't want to have management come yell at you for having a huge bill, and we've had billing issues from vExperts along the way, and so Cloud Health enabling this and having scripting that you can be very controlled on what the parameter looks like, and then a workflow enablement, so you're just not shutting things down because you don't know what to shut down, what to keep running. So yeah, definitely I could see now Cloud Health.
And don't forget that this is a common story, so managers are looking for this kind of dashboard to make sure that they they can respond for
right. And if you try to convince me to use AWS for more things, I think I would have to have this in place, right? To approve, like, okay, because the problem isn't what I'm paying for, it's that I'm using, it's what I'm paying for that I'm just not using. And VMworld was this way, where we spun up, we went into AWS and we spun up like 10 additional bigger servers to handle the load of VMworld during the event, right? And then, nobody goes in and shuts it all down. And then it's like 3 months later, you go like, well, how come what happened to this budget, right? And then you say, hey, why do we even those running? And they go, oh, sorry, we just didn't really think about it. And so it's just like, you're just managing those services makes you comfortable to continue to operate them correctly.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So that's a great article, which is, again, on beyondvirtual.io. If you say it 8 times, you start to believe it. So we just have to say it a few more times and we're good. Then you have another one that I got to ask. It's the zombie article that's out there that's kind of in the same realm of using Cloud Health to manage zombies. And for me, zombies, I go back to Linux and Unix, my Unix days, where zombie was errant processes. Are we using zombie in the same way with that article? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Bill?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I mean, I think it goes back to either that example on Linux or the previous example that you used about, you guys spinning up a bunch of instances and then not realizing that they were still out there, right? Just running idle, right? And that's really what a zombie instance is in Amazon. It's an idle that maybe a developer has brought up, utilized for a certain time frame, and it's just underutilized because it's sitting there, because as normal, most developers will probably not shut down their instances or terminate them. And what this article does is it takes a little bit of a different take on sort of like that RDS blog by looking out for how do I go manage my zombie instances. And those zombie instances are the ones that are running idle that should probably be shut down or terminated even, right? And in a similar fashion, we kind of walk through how you can do this in Cloud Health. But the interesting thing that we also look through is the policy, right, or the procedure. You don't want to go do this. You don't want to just quickly go and just try to shut something down or terminate it. What we do is we should talk about how Cloud Health will actually detect these based on the fact that it's pulling information from not just Amazon, but it's pulling information from other sources. So we actually hooked up Wavefront to Cloud Health, and it's using Wavefront data to effectively understand which one of our instances that are running on our Amazon accounts are below, let's say, a 5% utilization on over a 2-week time frame, right? And that tells us these are potentially zombie instances. And then the process that we talk through is, well, the first thing we're going to do is we set up a Lambda function that effectively goes in and takes a snapshot immediately. And then the next couple of procedures is send an email to the admin to either talk to the developer to go shut it down, right, or terminate it or have them start using it again effectively, right? But the process of actually taking a snapshot is to understand that you've got a snapshot in time in case you do terminate and for some reason they understand that they want to have that back at some point. You at least have backup, right, which is almost never thought about in a lot of cases in Amazon. There is inherent just a sense of going out and terminating as much as possible. As an example, we use Cloud Health across VMware, by the way, right, for all of our Amazon spend that we do. But IT itself doesn't shut down our instances. But I do get calls on a regular basis, right? Hey, some of these things have been running for a long time, and we know that they're working. So, it is another policy and procedure that goes down to the fact of how am I now managing Amazon? And the zombie instances is just one of the most rampant cost problems that are out there for customers using Amazon nowadays. It's just their cost runs out the door.
It's a cute way to use zombie because it's not a process. It's the whole machine, and it's idle time on the whole machine. And it's like, we got machines out there that we spun up, and all of a sudden, the load balancer's not even routing traffic to them anymore, so they're just sitting there as a zombie, right? A zombie machine, billing me, right? Because the machine is booted, right? Mm-hmm. So therefore, I get the bill. And so that's brilliant. That's brilliant. AWS doesn't charge based on load on the machines either. I think it's just whether the machine's spun up or not, right? In the instance, and so you get the bill. So it's brilliant.
Well,
yes and
what
no.
happens
Am
with
I wrong there?
Is just that it's. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm just listening.
Hello? Oh yeah. No, yeah. So it's we talked about EC2, but we are going to release another one about the fact that even though the EC2 may be going idle and depending on the size of the instance that you're running, it could be very low. One of the things that takes effect with respect to Amazon is that everything is interconnected in Amazon. There is actually a model within whatever you deploy. So that EC2 instance is attached to an EBS volume, it's like we have on vSphere, right, et cetera. So there are other components to actually consider. And in another blog that we'll be releasing, Prabhu was actually writing that one, and Prabhu wrote this one on zombie instances. We'll talk about how to find those EBS volumes, and then there's other components like security groups and other stuff which you don't get charged for, but also need a lot of cleanup, right? That are out there.
Right. That makes sense. Right. Yeah. Can't say enough about the BeyondVirtual.io blog because it's got categories for lots of different articles and really good articles that are not just about VMware.
And just knowing the people that are in this team, I just know that it's going to be a great blog to follow.
Right. Yeah. So we're coming up to the near top of the hour. We did get a little late start, so we should probably have 10 more minutes left. But so you guys, I know we're scheduling some meetups with your team as well. So you're going to cover some of these topics, and we're doing for VMware Code. We're going to do live meetups. We have our own meetup group on VMware Code. So shout out to Kripa and crew for building our own meetup group. So if you haven't followed the VMware Code meetup group yet, go check that out. You can do it. You can join that, and then you'll get notifications on when we're doing live streams with slides. So part of doing this with Bill today is that we get our act together on how to grab somebody's desktop, grab their picture, do a live stream. So much like AWS, a developer program where they have, live streams going on throughout the quarter. We're going to be doing the same thing, and about half of your team has signed up to do various meetups. So pretty excited about that, and I'm sure that we'll drill into some of these topics that are on BeyondVirtual.io, and take you on some of that. So when you're looking at 2019, I know we were with you guys Bill at AWS reInvent. We're doing some cool stuff with you at VMworld. Are you guys going to be other places spreading the message? Do you have on top of mind where else you're going to be, or is that a loaded question and you have no idea?
Well, no, we do know. We're starting to get our CFPs accepted. We are putting in CFPs in multiple different conferences.
Right.
And so they're slowly starting to be accepted. So right now, we just finished one recently. Hashi Talks was one of them. We just did the 24 hours of Hashi Talks. So on the site, we will actually post the YouTube videos of Tim had done one and Sri had done one, and that's around CI/CD. And I think one is around specifically Terraform. How do you take an application and terraform it, right? Because it's HashiCorp. We'll be doing some of that. We are looking at getting into obviously KubeCon. We're looking at being at Velocity. We will look at being at Jenkins World, Spinnaker Summit. That is yet to be determined on what the time frame is. And a host of others, obviously. Amazon, definitely. We are at Google Next. We will be talking, we're still sorting through what that will be. But, yes, so we will put up a calendar on there. By the way, Eric, I mean, we are linking our site with yours, so don't worry. I mean, there's links already popping up on the bottom of our site that pushes us back into code also. So we're going to connect the two as we can because it is kind of free-flowing between all the information that's there. So that's kind of how we're going to disseminate that and where we're going right now. And we'll keep iterating on that. And watch for the calendar on Beyond Virtual. We'll be putting that out shortly in the next week or two.
I really like to see this collaboration with the VMTN communities team because honestly, the VMware Code has been very successful. And I know that the VMUGs are also interested in getting more code-related topics. I have a UserCon in Pittsburgh, where I'm from, or where I live, that I would love to have like Prabhu come in and spend some time talking about before a hackathon event or something like that. So
we did have Brad, the head of VMUG.
Absolutely.
We did have Brad Tompkins come talk. We've had several meetings. We're spinning up code events. I think we've committed to 4 code events at UserCons, which I've mentioned. And then just getting Bill Shetti is just all over all the stuff we're doing, right? So I'm aware of that, and we've plugged him into getting him out and getting their team out into the UserCons as part of that, getting the sessions out, doing the meetups. But then Bill, thanks for taking us through the roadmap of places that you're going to be also and where to go find that. So that's awesome. And I guess I just in the top of my head here, how are we doing with regard to mind share of cloud management services? I looked at, we were the #1 vendor tweeted during AWS reInvent, right? So AWS talked about that they were the #1 because they're Amazon, right? They got more, but then we were #2. We were the biggest vendor. So how's your feeling with regard to getting this hybrid environment? I know where we were at Think at IBM last week, right? Where we were talking about some of the various things, and I know a lot of your tools do multi-cloud, cross-cloud. How are you feeling with regard to getting traction as a cloud management solution stack?
I think it's coming together. It's definitely getting a lot of traction. I think we have to thank Cloud Health for that. I mean, they had the presence to really bring us forward on reInvent, right? In addition, obviously, we have to thank VMC. Right. I mean, I think between those two components, I think we get a lot of presence over there. But as we start working more and more with Cloud Health and sort of integrating with some of their back-end processes and everything, like you said, Wavefront has its own presence. We'll start integrating some of these, and it'll become a lot more fluid, right, over time. We're pretty excited about that. We're getting a lot of uptake on that. Discussions with customers on Cloud Health. Go to security or go to someplace else. So it's all sort of interconnected, and it's starting to form right now. I would say that I think we have a great base to build off of right now. And I do want to make sure that we understand that it is not just about public cloud, but like you said, Ariel, it is also going to be about hybrid and then getting that continuity. So we're looking forward to highlighting all the public cloud components, but we will, on occasion, talk about all of the components on the other side, on the hybrid side too, right? And we hope that, with these new SaaS services, because we can deliver these so quickly and the changes that customers want can be delivered rapidly, that they would choose our platform now, right?
Right.
To utilize for uniformity across wherever it is, right? And
Right.
so that it's about choice. And so it's a journey, and we're really happy with where we're starting from right now.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a good next 9 months as we start coalescing and moving forward even more rapidly.
Yeah, there's a couple thoughts that I think of one is this reminds me of the NSX days, right? Where we had a great vision and the products weren't there yet. We couldn't get all the products out where we wanted to the vExperts because NSX we were still cleaning up a lot of things, and but you could see the vision and you could see it coming. Then we did NSXT for the telcos, and all of a sudden you'd look at now Mobile World Congress, and we're just now 2 or 3 years later we're like a force. So that's one, and I feel like this is the same thing. We're getting all the pieces together now. I was talking to my VP yesterday in my one-on-one about like our 2019 investments. We've got some really cool things for VMworld we're doing. We're going to take over the Yuba Buena Center for Performing Arts for VMware Code. We're going to brand the whole thing. This is where Apple did their launches, so it's going to be coming out and we're talking about the fact that 3 years ago, we didn't have these products. We didn't have enough that we could say, look, this is the whole end point from application building all the way into production and delivery to management of your apps in a dynamic way in multi-cloud environments. But we're actually getting those pieces together. And so that's the one thought is it's pretty exciting because we're now, we're coming into our NSX days where we're building and we have enough that it's cool. The second thing that I hit here, and then I'll be quiet, but it's you don't have to outrun the bear, right? You just have to outrun your competitors who are doing it because you need to do this. You need these solutions. And then I look around and I go we're running as fast as we can to build all this because, this is what we do. We're running, right? But then I look around and I go we're a mile ahead of anybody else behind us, right? If the bear is going to eat somebody, it's not going to be, we're doing really well in this space. In fact, we've got more solutions in this and more real meat on the ground, multi-cloud, multi-services, IBM, AWS, even Microsoft now coming along. So it's just like the NSX matured into look, this is a no-op. These guys are the default standard in this. I see us, being able to say that at some point too, because we're just so far ahead of everybody else.
This is why evangelism programs are so important, but I think we have a great track record that our evangelism is spot on. Like when we tell them this is going to be big, it turns out to be big.
Yeah.
So people trust us in that sense.
Yeah, that's right. And we do good software, right? Yeah. And we make good acquisitions, and we transition into new markets. I look back at the Sun days when I worked at Sun, and Sun didn't know how to transition to anywhere, right? They couldn't get their head into a new market, right? Where VMware is amazing at figuring out what a new market is, getting people aligned, buying the necessary technology, building solutions for our customer base. We act as IT partners, right? So Bill, it's fantastic to see you. Great to be on your show. Looking forward to having your evangelist team on. They have been all over with us, and so we're excited about 2019. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for spending money being in the evangelist space as a whole. I love you, your team, Dan, everybody that's there. It's great. So thanks for joining us.
And thanks for all the support so far. We're looking forward to working with your team and all the other events that are coming up, and it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, being in the community, everybody's excited about it. So thanks a lot. We are going to have next week, I think vExperts get announced. If they're on schedule, we'll have some vExperts come in and talk through the process. We got a couple of people queued up for that, and then we are going to have some more of Bill's teams in. So we got a full year coming up. So it should be a podcast every week. And so thanks everybody for being on Facebook and checking us out and living with the way we're doing slides and video. So Julia, thanks a lot. We don't have a camera on you, but we're going to get one on you too, so you can be part of the crew. And until then, everybody have a great week. And then we'll do we didn't do the color of the bay, but I would just say that whatever the color is, it's all fresh water, because we had up in north of San Francisco, we had 20 inches of rain. So it's almost 2 feet of rain in an overnight period. So if there's any salt water left in the bay, I think you would be hard pressed to find it. So
And they did ask us on the barbecue, and I think WonderNet said the barbecue report he had crab rangoon on the grill. That's amazing.
crab rangoon on the grill. Darn. That sounds great. I'm still looking for the Brussels sprouts, dude. But again, thanks a lot for everybody.
I know.
Yeah. There you go, Tony. Crab rangoon. What is that exactly?
So the crab rangoon that you get at Chinese restaurants,
Okay.
you can make your own.
Oh, right. So the crispy crab, golden colored,
Uh-huh.
and you did that on the grill. Any good?
I did it on the grill. It was awesome.
Very nice.
My wife liked it so much that I think I only got one of them. I did
Wow.
about 6.
I'm
Awesome.
hungry.
So,
It's at the top of the hour. We're going to head over to the cafeteria and see what they've got. Bill, good to see you again as always. Ariel, thanks for being here. It's just good to see you in the same room with us. It's always great.
One thing on Bill, if you want to follow him on Twitter, at SHETTI. Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Awesome.
All right. At
you.
Shetti. Perfect. All right. With that, we're going to end the call. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you again next week. Until then, have a great day.
Thank you.
Now I have to see how many applications I have to close here on my Mac to actually end